Welcome to a bonus episode of Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast. I'm your co-host Bob Zarrell. We got professional film critic Sean and Josh here, Josh Adams. We just thought we'd spend 10 minutes or so talking about the new Avengers trailer because we find ourselves hanging out on a weeknight. We just got done doing a double feature of the disaster artist in the room.
Yeah.
But the news of the day is Avengers Infinity War trailer.
Or Matt Lauer, but I think that's not our. That's
the
not
new
really
the
our
movie
field.
news of the day is the ever crowded Avengers movie.
It is weird though to see like a news event actually top like a Marvel film release.
Oh yeah, yeah.
For geek culture forced to take a back seat for once.
Jurassic World, the Fallen Kingdom trailer is supposed to show up today too. Show up tonight. Universal Studios, which owns NBC, controls that.
Huh.
Whereas ABC and Disney, that control Avengers and Marvel. So the only way to trump the Marvel trailer is to have a corporation war.
NBC waited to today to fire Matt Lauer to cover up the release of the Avengers trailer.
Yeah, no,
What a conspiracy theory! Wow,
it
That's
fits.
amazing. I mean, they've known this about Lauer for a while.
Yeah.
We're only saying the name Matt Lauer so we can put it in the description of this podcast and get some extra downloads.
Yeah, that too. I admit, when I opened up Facebook for the first time today, I expected the Avengers trailer to be there. You know, it was like 9 o'clock or something, and all I did was continue to see stories about him, and that's what dominated. That's the number one headline. If you look at the hashtags on the side, not Avengers Infinity War.
Now apparently Marvel's recutting this trailer to include Robert Downey Jr.'s penis, and so
whoa.
I will say, with the not to move on from
back to fake feature of disaster artist in the room. So I'm a little punchy.
yeah. I think we all are. I will say about the trailer, not to get off of Matt Lauer, but I figured you guys might eventually want to.
Apparently, no one's getting off of Matt Lauer.
Or he wouldn't get off them. I think.
That's the thing.
I don't know. I'm not that. I'm like I said. I'm kind of comic booked out, and this trailer didn't save anything for me. That said, my son's very much comic book in, and it took him to like 3/4 of the way through to realize who these people were because they all just look different. And I don't know. I don't know. I guess. What did you guys think of the trailer?
I was a little bit confused, I guess, at times, like a little bit. Because I for some reason, I've already forgotten how Thor Ragnarok ended, so I can't remember where Hulk was. I can't remember where... I kind of remember where Thor and Loki were. So I was a little bit lost throughout, and then I was not impressed with Thanos. He really didn't look as imposing as he did in the post-credit scenes. Seeing him walk around was not impressive for me. He looked weird. He looked really weird to me. I know it's supposed to be a little bit more Josh Brolin-y to try because he's actually like working it this time, but it just did not look good to me. That said, I mean, there's other impressive stuff. Like I loved seeing Thor interact with the Guardians. That was cool. I was confused again. Like maybe you'll be able to explain this, Josh, but I was just kind of like, how did the Hulk get to where Doctor Strange is? And I was just trying to figure that out in my head, and I kept kind of seizing on that. And then, of course, we all know what was going to happen to Vision, but to give it away in the trailer, it's like that was a little bit much.
Well, it's almost in the Civil War trailer, if you remember, War Machine, we see him crashed on the ground, or at least his suit crashed on the ground with Iron Man standing over him.
Yeah.
And then that's exactly what happened in the movie. It wasn't like
Except he didn't die.
He
Vision's
didn't die.
Probably not going to die either, right?
We don't know if Vision's going to die per se. It would seem like he is because that's like his power source or whatnot. But I like the trailer. The Thanos scenes were the one thing that kind of took me out of it, because no matter how they do it, you've still got a pretty CGI'd performance. And it just didn't look as the menacing part doesn't bother me. It just didn't look right. There's something a little off about it. But they've got until May 4th to take care of that part. If they're going to do any scrubbing or any kind of editing of the special effects. But there's stuff that is happening in between what we've seen in Thor Ragnarok and this movie that hasn't even happened yet. I mean, Black Panther hasn't come out yet we see Black Panther and a couple of his close friends and soldiers from Wakanda
so I guess
involved in the battle.
So he survives that movie.
Yeah. And we also see we know Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp is a part of Infinity War. Ant-Man and the Wasp comes out next summer after Infinity War. So, okay, apparently she gets a suit, and we don't know anything about that. I'm sure that we'll flesh it out because this is split up into 2 films. There's 3 and 4. So eventually it'll work itself out. What I did like, though, is the tone of the trailer. This impending sense of, okay, something is finally happening here. This thing appearing in the middle of the sky, and then Spidey's hair. The hair on his arms standing up. That's cool. I like that. Like, he can finally sense that something is really wrong.
He's finally got hair on his arms.
That, too. The look on Tony Stark's face too, and something is clearly going wrong. And all I've asked for Marvel to do is to raise the stakes a little bit. And this is the Infinity War. Okay, so the stakes are clearly raised. It's at the most possible stakes. That being the case, I want the performances to match what the stakes are. You've got to kill some characters, or at least put them in the face of death, like right there on the doorstep of death, and make some sacrifices. I'm sure that's exactly what's going to happen. I spent probably 20 minutes with a coworker today going over potential theories just based on the trailer that we saw, and that's fun. I mean, this is what the trailer's meant to be. It was a longer trailer than I thought it would be, too.
Were you on the clock?
At the time, yes, but he works in IT, so that doesn't count. They do whatever they want to anyways.
How long is this movie going to be?
You got to figure 2.5 hours.
At least. I mean, in order to...
What's going on? With all those characters, all that stuff to cover.
What I noticed on the Infinity Gauntlet is that, yes, he grabs the Mind Stone from Vision, but he's missing something. I can't remember what it is. I want to say it's the Thought Stone, or unfortunately, my Infinity Gauntlet knowledge is not great. But it seems like the main centerpiece stone is still not there. My guess is this film ends with him finally getting that, and then there's just nothing you can do about it. He's there, he's ready to tear people apart, but he still doesn't quite have the power of just using this glove to wipe out whatever he wants to and start anew. His voiceover in the trailer is kind of interesting too, and kind of explaining that he sympathizes with them, but it's too bad anyways. That's some hardcore villain crap. I like it.
There's this I'm not a comic book guy, but I do follow some comic book people, and there's this meme about the character of Darkseid from DC Comics, about him sitting on a couch. Have you seen this? It's like Darkseid sitting on a couch is the least intimidating thing you could possibly think of having a character like Darkseid do. And I kind of thought of that as I was seeing Thanos just kind of walking around looking at the Earth. Like, he looks so bored. This is supposed to be important.
For my money, and I want to start a war here, Darkseid is way more badass than Thanos, even with the stupid golden glove.
I've got no dog in that fight.
Okay. I'm just saying, Darkseid is a far more menacing villain, in my opinion. I mean, he can shoot lasers from his eyes and shit. Thanos is just, like, very powerful and can, wield weapons, but he doesn't inherently have like something that's a part of him like Darkseid does.
This is like a 2-part movie, right?
Yeah, it is. And they won't tell us the title of the 4th film because the title, as Kevin Feige has stated, is an actual spoiler itself. That tells me that something is missing. The stone, the big stone from the gauntlet, is probably what that 4th title is.
Do we lose main characters, or do we just lose side characters?
My guess is you lose main characters. The reason they've been developing Winter Soldier for a couple of films now as a guy that could inherit the mantle of Captain America, and that happens in the comics. Falcon could also take the shield because he is also Captain America at one point. Steve Rogers, his character arc, to be honest, is completely run its course. Peggy Carter's dead. He's got a possible love interest in like her great niece or something like that. I can't remember what it is, but to be fair, I think his character arc has run its course. Chris Hemsworth as well. It's possible that he wants to do other things other than play Thor for the rest of his life. Valkyrie is in this film. An Asgardian could very well inherit the power of Thor, if you will. They introduced the character via statue in Thor Ragnarok, and I talked about it on the show. A guy named Beta Ray Bill, which he's an alien. I know it's just saying it makes me feel bad, okay? Because I know it's cheesy.
It's such a silly name.
Well, it's like saying He-Man. You know, I get it, but I still like it. But that character has an Asgardian weapon that Odin gives him. Of course, Odin no longer with us. But I think that there is a strong possibility that Captain America and Thor could bite the dust. I mean, shoot, even Tony Stark, I don't think that would happen in the third film. I think maybe in the fourth. The culmination of the entire first 3 phases of the universe, that could happen. And in the comics, there's additional Iron Men as well, including the latest iteration. A younger African-American woman is Iron Woman, so to speak. So
I do like where they're going with Tom Holland and Spider-Man. I think this trailer does show him being so much more important, and that new suit looks great on him. So with him being so young and so seemingly ready to go, I think he makes a strong impression here that could be the future of the franchise.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that one. I do think that Spider-Man is perhaps beyond any character they might kill off, is the most marketable of all of these Marvel characters. There's no reason to think that he wouldn't want to be in it.
Now, I was talking before how I'd completely forgotten the ending of Thor Ragnarok. Mm-hmm. How did they get to where they got to? Like, where was Hulk?
Well, he was, at that point, he was no longer Hulk. He was Bruce Banner. Okay. He was on the ship that takes off from Asgard as it explodes, right. And then the end credits in Ragnarok are showing this large ship that Thanos is on, and it approaches this ship. Thor ends up with the Guardians. Right. If you remember, there's some footage that was shown only to Comic-Con goers in July, and it showed Thor floating through space. Okay. In his current garb, I might add. I think that it's clear that the ship is destroyed, and Thor's efforts to save all of the Asgardians is probably a moot point. Some of them may escape, like Valkyrie may escape. But what could happen is Thanos might, like, in his destruction, create some kind of wormhole. You know how they're talking about convergences in this cinematic universe and all of that crap.
I've made a terrible error in this question.
Well, you're asking, of course, how do certain characters get to certain spots. That could be how Bruce Banner ends up on the spectral plane with Doctor Strange and his cohort. I can't remember the name, and then that would be why Thor is in space, and the Guardians are there to be like, hey, there's a dude in space.
So they escape whatever, Ragnarok or whatever, and then they all die except for Thor? Is that kind of what you're saying? Why not put the end of Thor? That would have been an amazing ending to Thor.
I do think that's implied, though, by seeing that scene with Thanos' ship showing up in front of
that does not count. I don't care if you imply it or not. If you want to make a great movie, that's what we've been asking for the whole time.
Been like an Empire Strikes Back ending.
That would have been the thing we've been asking for, some balls.
You're
and
not
some
wrong.
Guts.
We know, of course, though, that for what they've stated about the next phase, the phase 4 of Marvel stuff, that it's going to be a little more random and not so building up to an Infinity War situation, more individual films and focusing on lesser-known characters and having a lighter tone. They've managed to steer it a little more in that direction with Ragnarok. If you commit genocide at the end of a film, I don't think that's lightening it up very much.
Well, lightening up's a terrible idea. That's the problem I have with these movies.
I'm with you, but that's what
I know.
that's the distinction between
you're
them and
explaining
DC.
what they're doing, and I'm telling you it's stupid, and it's not your fault. So I apologize.
Get the nut, Josh.
No, it's
Does this trailer excite you?
No, but the possibility of actually having something at stake does, I guess. That's kind of the only thing I've been missing from really any of them, even Justice League.
Josh, we've been pretty hard on this trailer. Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it, and just seeing it's really more it's facial expressions on characters. Seeing Chadwick Boseman and Chris Evans really looking like, all right, this is. If I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down swinging. I like that.
That was a badass moment when he goes, "Get that man a shield."
Yes.
That was cool. That was a good line. Well delivered.
Captain America with a beard. Hey, all right.
Can it possibly be too crowded, though? Is that at all possible?
We
I mean,
know
that's
it's too
definitely
crowded.
possible.
There's going to be over 60-some characters that people know in this film. There's not going to be enough screen time to have real character development. That's why we've had all these films, right?
I'm not worried about the development. I'm worried about them trying too long to make sure everybody gets their screen time or get their moment. And sometimes you just have to.
It's going to be professional wrestling. Everybody's going to run in, hit their finisher, and leave.
Yeah.
And that'll be just distracting, you know?
And poor Hawkeye, they show him in the trailer, and his back's to the camera. Poor Jeremy Renner. I always am gravitating towards the characters that don't have powers per se, like him. I mean, but he just shoots a bow and arrow. So
Hey, that stuff you're
Right.
going to see in Black Panther, don't worry about any of that.
yeah. Oh, by the way, Black Panther lives, and Diana Guarini or whatnot, the one that plays as like military leader from Black Panther. She's in the trailer, so she lives.
Well, the Guardians are fine. There's a Guardians 3 coming out, so
Yeah,
we know
right.
they're going to.
Well, did we see everybody there? I don't know.
Everyone was there. Yeah, Groot was a little older.
Which is a shame, because that was the best part of Guardians 2. But, I mean, how long do you think the Guardians are going to be in this movie? Because they apparently, I was listening to a podcast with Dave Bautista. He said they filmed all year.
Well, they filmed both 3 and 4 at the same time, too, and that's part of it. So if you need them in scenes for 4, you film it while they're on set for 3.
Just so you can speculate here about what happens with these characters, Batista's talking about a return to WWE full time.
I think I heard the podcast where that came out of, and that's been taken in. So I don't. He said he's open to it if they follow his demands,
Right.
and I don't think they're going to do that.
But that does say something about him possibly having some free time. That's what I'm saying.
Possibly. The Guardians lineup does change over time to include characters even like Venom, which, of course, they don't own the rights to.
Drax
so,
being a
doesn't matter.
character who tends to throw himself into danger unthinkably and wanting to kill Thanos, it does make sense that he would be the one to get his dumbass killed.
That's a really good thought on. I actually kind of like that.
You never know.
Would certainly ground the Guardians a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
But he said he'd only come back if he could have like a year-long run with Triple H, and I don't see that happening. Who would have been a great Thor? Not Chris Hemsworth, but
Right.
had Chris Hemsworth not been around, he at least looked the part. Physically,
terrible. Physically, yes.
Physically, he'd have been the
incredible,
most perfect Thor.
but acting-wise, no.
I at least know who you're talking
We'll
about
never
here.
know.
So that's good.
We've seen Blade 3. We know. He was in Blade 3.
I haven't forgotten Blade Trinity. I've tried to forget, but it hasn't left my mind. Make Dracula Dominic Purcell. That'll do it. Okay.
Cast an even bigger guy to stand next to him.
Right. What the hell? You're so right. The Guardians, one more thing about them, though, we've forgotten all about the Collector. Benicio del Toro's character. He's the brother of Jeff Goldblum's Grandmaster character. We never saw him in Thor Ragnarok, but we expect to see him back because he's the guy collecting all of these items for Thanos to use in the Infinity Gauntlet. So he's got to be in this movie, and the Guardians
Didn't
were
they
the
blow
only one to
something
interact
up
with
that he
him.
was collecting, or like I don't.
Yeah, but he survived that.
Well, right, but didn't his collection go away?
I don't
A
know.
lot of his collection, but not the ones
But hasn't-
that are necessary.
Hasn't Del Toro been shooting Star Wars?
Oh yeah, he's a character in The Last Jedi for sure, but
I would think that would take up some time.
Well, Disney owns them both, so
the time filming Last Jedi was before the time filming Infinity
Okay.
War, so he should be fine.
what is it? May 4th? Is that the
May 4th.
horrible day?
Oh,
I'll sit on the 5th or 6th.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting date for that. They're releasing Infinity War on Star Wars Day.
That's okay. In 2 weeks, we'll have the Han Solo movie after that, so...
Wow, that is a weird
Which they
choice,
should
too.
have switched those around.
That's a good point. Marvel's just had that first weekend in May now for 7 years.
All sorts of weird choices right there.
I don't think there's any way that Infinity War doesn't become one of like the top 5 grossing domestic films of all time. If
They
you
better
factor
hope.
in, for sure, and they've spent a lot of money on it. But I'll bet you, at the end of the day, their budget for Infinity War and Avengers 4 at this point is still less than Justice League after budget and marketing, because DC doesn't know how to allocate their money correctly. And with all the money that Marvel's made, that's like, oh, okay, it's fine.
But you got to pay Robert Downey Jr. a lot of money to be in these movies. I would kill him off in the first 5 minutes just to get rid of the salary. But you're probably right. It'll be the second.
That's the accountant talking.
Because he doesn't do anything. He pops up, talks a little bit, and then they get some other guy in a suit to do the rest of the movie. And he brings in like $50 million.
Oh, that's fair.
Shots fired.
He's got to at least be somewhat physically fit.
Get rid of that. Let's get rid of that best part of the movie.
The thing that
that's
started it all. Screw that shit.
No, it's not. It's not screw it. It's I want him to at least feel he could possibly be in danger. And
Yeah.
that has yet to happen,
Yeah, that's
especially
true.
lately.
I didn't see Nick Fury in the trailer
Heard
at
him
all. We heard him, but of course that's a borrowed
from
line.
an earlier
And
movie.
I know that he's in the movie.
There are 60 characters. He's got to be one of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, but one of the Vanity Fair covers, I think, has him. No, he's not on one of the covers. I'm just trying to figure out, like, the guy that put it all together. It seems a little weird that Nick Fury has been a little AWOL from all of this for a while now.
They should have just killed him when they faked his death.
Yeah.
That would have been.
If I could spoil Black Panther further, is Andy Serkis in the movie too?
In this movie,
in Infinity War.
good question.
If he's on the cast list, just don't even bother going to see Black Panther.
Boy, that'd be a thing, wouldn't it? If you I'm not looking up the cast list of Infinity War. First of all, it's going to take me forever, and then once I get there, if I see Ulysses Claw on there, oh man.
But anyway, now our podcast next week might not be 90 minutes. It might be a little shorter. So you got this bonus episode of the trailer.
Yeah, that's a good point. We do have lots of movies to bring to the show, and the Jurassic World trailer to get mad at, I'm sure.
Speak for yourself.
We're looking forward to it. We liked the last Jurassic Park.
On that note, anything else?
Not really. I mean, I think we've been pretty tough on this trailer, but also pretty fair.
I was excited to see the images, and on top of that, this is a long time coming. This is like a really cool movie payoff that,
Hopefully.
seeing that it exists,
Right.
after all this promise and talk and whatnot, and they've actually developed it, and there's not been a lot of conjecture about it ever failing, really. And that makes me pretty proud. I mean, nerd culture's taken control, at least for the next, year, probably. I don't know. Makes me happy.
I was just looking up Andy Serkis. I guess it's a spoiler either way if you mention. I guess really if he's there, he's not there. It tells you something.
Or they're just leaving him off on purpose, which would be the smart thing to do.
That's a good point.
But that he's not there, it just shows you he loses.
Well, unless you're going to have him in there, you just keep him off the cast list until then. But
he's got Star Wars shit to film. I don't want him in Avengers.
He does have Star Wars on there. A couple, yeah. So, yeah. There you go. Enjoy Black Panther. This trailer's made it irrelevant.
way to go, Marvel. Not like it's going to matter.
Anybody got any more Matt Lauer jokes?
I used all mine up with the. Has everyone been on Matt Lauer?
My apologies, because I do take that seriously, but
of course. We're
it's
just
also very
punch
late.
drunk.
Except for Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah, we just watched one of the most misogynist movies of all time, but happened to be hilarious, which is conflicting, and we're tired.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
That ought to do it. Thanks very much, Ray.
And we're the three best friends that anybody could have. We're the three best friends that anyone could have. We're the three best friends that anyone can have. And we'll never, ever, 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 ever leave each other. We're the best three friends that anybody could have. I mean, the three best friends that anybody could have. That's right, the three best friends.
Why do we do this to ourselves? I like it. I like it because it's fun. But at the same time, it's like, oh my gosh, I would never say things like, why do we do this? Unless we'd already sat through 3+ hours of Tommy Wiseau. I feel like I need to walk out of here with that accent or I'm going to have failed myself. I'm going to go through the workday tomorrow saying, Mark.
Yeah, I feel bad for guys named Mark these days.
There's a couple at work. I'm going to hit them up tomorrow.
I think I'll laugh like Tommy.
Oh, I can't do it.
I can't do it either.
Boy,
I'm not
James
even gonna
Franco,
try.
you're so talented.
He is incredible, isn't he? Oh, sorry, that's the next podcast.